Jace Rowan stepped off his hover truck as the cold night wind rushed across the empty train station. Ridge 9 was known for two things: burning hot days and freezing nights. Tonight, the cold felt sharper than usual, as if the desert itself was warning travelers to stay inside. The station lights flickered again and again, fighting the wind. Casting long shadows across the metal floor, Jace pulled his coat tighter, but not because he felt cold. He had lived all his life on Ridge 9, a frontier planet where people worked hard and trusted only what they saw with their own eyes. Cold didn't scare him. Storms didn't scare him. The only thing that ever worried him was seeing someone alone in a place where loneliness could turn dangerous. He walked forward with heavy boots, thinking about the shipment he was here to pick up. His ranch needed new supplies, and he didn't like being late. But just as he passed a cluster of empty benches, something stopped him. A small figure sat curled under a thin jacket, arms wrapped around her body, shivering so hard it looked painful. At first, Jace thought she might be waiting for someone. But the longer he stared, the more he realized she wasn't moving normally. Her breathing was too slow. Her hands were turning pale in the harsh cold. Jace lowered his voice and stepped closer. "Ma'am, you all right?" The young woman lifted her head but didn't fully meet his eyes. Her lips were trembling from the cold. I missed my shuttle," she whispered. "I didn't know the temperature would drop so fast." Her voice was soft, but Jace heard the exhaustion in it. She looked barely in her 20s, with tired eyes that showed she had been traveling too long. Her clothes were practical, but too light for this frozen night. She hugged a small travel bag to her chest, as if holding on to the last bit of warmth. Jaka immediately took off his thick thermal coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. "You're freezing. How long have you been here?" "I think 2 hours," she answered. "Maybe more." The next train got delayed. "My communicator isn't working." Jace didn't wait for more explanations. He reached into his bag and pulled out a portable heat device. When he placed it near her hands, warm air slowly spread around her. She sighed in relief, though her body still shook. "You should have gone inside the station office," Jace said calmly. "It was locked," she replied, still shivering. "I tried." Jace nodded slowly. The station crew was unreliable during storms. He didn't blame her. He glanced around the empty platform, noticing that the wind was getting stronger. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Ilara," she said. "Ilara Finn." "Jace Rowan," he answered. "You're lucky I came when I did. Ridge 9 Knights don't play fair." Ilara tried to smile, but her teeth still chattered. "I came from a medical ship. I'm a nurse. I was supposed to travel to the frontier medical camp, but my transport broke down. They told me to wait here for the next shuttle." Jace studied her for a moment. She looked young but strong, like someone who had worked through long nights helping others. But right now, she looked like someone who needed help herself. "I'll stay with you until you're warm," he said simply. Before Ilara could answer, a loud alarm echoed from the other side of the station. Red lights flashed overhead. Jace turned sharply. He knew that sound a well cargo emergency. A cargo pod had fallen off a passing freight train and hit the ground near the cargo platforms. Sparks shot up as the heavy container slid across the metal rails. A hiss of gas filled the air. Jace's instincts took over. He gently helped Ilara stand. "Stay behind me." "I can walk," she said softly. "I know. But let me handle whatever that is." Together they stepped toward the crash site. As they got closer, the container door shook violently from the inside. Something was trying to get out. Station workers ran in confusion. One shouted, "Step back." The safety lock failed. Jace narrowed his eyes. "What's in that pod?" "Small alien creatures bioscouts meant for research," another worker yelled. "They're harmless in calm weather, but the cold makes them panic." The pod burst open a second later. 3 small creatures jumped out quick, sharp-legged animals with glowing eyes. They scurried in every direction, frightened and confused. They weren't dangerous, but they could injure themselves or others if they panicked further. Ilara gasped softly. "We need to calm them down." "I will," Jace said. He tapped the device on his belt, activating his cowboy tick lasso. A circle of light formed around his hand. When one creature darted near him, Jace swung the lasso with expert ease. The loop wrapped around the creature gently, not hurting it. He redirected it away from the crowd. Another creature jumped onto a cargo crate. Ilara noticed its leg was bleeding. Without hesitation, she rushed forward. Jace was surprised by her sudden courage. "Ilara, careful. I'm trained for this," she said firmly. While Jace rounded up the other creatures, Ilara kneeled by the injured one. She used her medical kit, warming its body and cleaning its wound. The creature trembled, but her steady hands calmed it. A worker watched with wide eyes. "You're good at this," Ilara smiled softly. "They're just scared." Jace brought the last creature back toward the pod. "We need to secure them inside." The workers quickly moved in. Together, they fixed the lock and secured the animals. The danger passed, and the station became quiet again. Jace exhaled slowly. That was quick thinking. Lara brushed hair from her face. "I just did what any nurse would do. Not every nurse would run toward a creature with sharp legs and glowing eyes." She laughed lightly. And for the first time, her body stopped shaking. The station chief approached them. "Thanks to both of you, we owe you. If you hadn't stepped in, this could have turned messy." Jace nodded, but didn't stay for praise. He turned to Ilara. "You're warmer now." "Yes, thank you," she said genuinely. "If you hadn't come, I don't know what would have happened tonight." Jace looked at the frozen sky above them. "This place tests people. You handled everything well." She lowered her gaze shyly. "I almost couldn't handle the cold." "It's different," he said softly. "No one should be alone in weather like this." He glanced at the time. "Your shuttle won't arrive until morning. And this station isn't safe to stay in overnight. The storm is getting worse." Lara hesitated. "I don't want to trouble you." "It's no trouble," Jace replied. "You can stay at my ranch for the night. Warm room, safe place, and I'll bring you back to the shuttle in the morning." Ilara looked torn. She wasn't used to trusting strangers easily, but the truth was simple. She had no working communicator, no safe place, and the cold wind was already creeping back. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "Positive," Jace said with steady kindness. "I wouldn't offer if I didn't mean it." Ilara slowly nodded. "All right, thank you." Jace offered his arm to support her as they walked back to his hover truck. The wind whistled through the metal beams overhead, but Ilara didn't feel its bite anymore. She felt safer than she had in hours. Inside the truck, Jace activated the heating system. Warm air filled the cabin. "You can rest," he said. "It's a long drive." Ilara leaned back against the seat. "You said you live on a ranch?" "Yeah, Rowan Ranch. My family started it years ago. We raise bioengineered horses." Her eyes widened. "Really? Like real horses?" "Looks like them. Runs faster, though. Good for rough lands." Ilara smiled with childlike surprise. "I've never seen one. You will soon." They drove through the dark desert. The sky glowed faintly with 2 distant moons. Ahead, Jace's ranch lights shined like small stars across the empty land. Ilara watched quietly. "It's peaceful here." "It is. Hard, but peaceful." When they arrived, Jace helped her inside the warm main house. The scent of wood and clean metal made the place feel safe. Ilara looked around in awe. Everything was neat, simple, and comfortable. Jace pointed to a guest room. "You can stay here. There's hot water and spare clothes." She touched the soft blanket on the bed. "It's very kind of you." Jace leaned on the doorframe. "You helped those creatures at the station. You didn't think twice. That tells me a lot about the kind of person you are." Lara lowered her eyes. "I just don't like seeing anything in pain." "That's exactly why you shouldn't be freezing outside alone." She didn't know what to say to that. She simply nodded. Jack stepped back. "Rest. I'll be just in the next room if you need anything." "Good night, Jace." "Good night, Ilara." He walked away, but Ilara stood still for a moment. She felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: safety, warmth, and a strange, gentle feeling in her chest. She didn't know why, but she knew that meeting Jace Rowan at the cold train station wasn't just luck. It felt like the beginning of something bigger. As she lay down, the desert wind howled outside, but but she barely heard it. The night was no longer frightening. She felt protected for the first time since she left her medical ship. In another room, Jace poured himself a cup of warm tea. As he stared at the quiet desert outside, he found himself thinking about the young nurse with calm hands and brave eyes. He didn't know her story yet, but something told him their paths weren't crossing just for one night. There was a feeling deep in his chest, a quiet pull. Something had changed the moment he saw her freezing on that bench. Morning arrived slowly on Ridge 9. The sunlight passed through soft desert dust, turning the sky a gentle gold. Ilara woke up feeling warmer than she had in days. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered the freezing train station, the cold wind, the cargo accident, and the man who helped her. She sat up, touched the warm blanket, and breathed out in relief. She stepped outside the room and found Jace already awake. He was feeding one of the tall bioengineered horses. Beautiful creatures with smooth metal-like patterns on their legs and bright, intelligent eyes. They looked powerful, yet calm, as if they understood their surroundings better than normal animals. Jace spotted her and smiled. "Morning. You sleep all right?" Ilara nodded. "Yes, thank you. I haven't slept this well in weeks." "You were tired," he said kindly. "And frozen." Ilara tried not to blush. "You saved me. You saved those creatures at the station," he replied. "I think we're even now." She laughed softly. The air felt warmer and the ranch felt peaceful. Yet soon, she remembered her mission. "I have to reach the medical camp today. They're waiting for me." "I'll take you," Jace said. "But first, eat something." Long road. They shared a simple breakfast. Jace talked about the ranch, how his family built it from nothing, and how the frontier lands needed people with strong hearts. Ilara listened closely. She admired how calm and steady he seemed, even in a world full of storms, dust, and danger. During the drive toward the medical camp, Ilara looked out the window. Strange plants glowed faint blue under the sunlight. Small creatures ran across the sand. Ridge 9 was different from any place she had ever worked. It felt wild, unpredictable, but also full of hidden beauty. Suddenly, the desert road shimmered, and Jace slowed the truck. "Something's wrong." Lara leaned forward. "What is it?" "People," Jace answered. Ahead, 3 villagers waved for help. Their faces looked tired and worried. When Jace stopped, one of them rushed to the window. "Sir, please. We need help. People in our village are getting sick. Animals, too. Machines aren't working right. We don't know what's happening." Lara stepped out immediately. "Tell me the symptoms." "Fever," the man said quickly. "Weakness. And these strange marks appear on the skin like dust patterns." Ilara exchanged a serious look with Jace. It could be a parasite, something carried by the desert air. Jace's voice became firm. "Let's go to their village." They drove fast across the sand, following the villagers on old bikes. When they arrived, Ilara's heart tightened. People lay outside their homes, breathing heavily. Animals were lying weak near the fences. Even small machines blinked with error lights. Ilara rushed from one person to another, checking pulses and symptoms. She saw the same strange dust-like pattern on everyone's skin. "This is spreading fast." She whispered. JS asked, "Can you help them?" "I think so," Ilara said. "But I need herbs that grow only in the canyonlands. They can clean the parasite from the body. Without them, these people will only get worse." Ace didn't hesitate. "Then we go to the canyonlands." Ilara looked at him with worry. "It's dangerous. Deep cracks, strange winds, and sometimes creatures that don't like visitors. And you're going alone?" Jace said firmly. "Not happening. I'm coming with you." She wanted to protest, but the situation was too urgent. People were suffering, and time was running out. They returned to the ranch to prepare. Jace brought out his fastest biohorse, Silverwind. The creature stood tall, its silver patterns shimmering under the sun. Ilara stared in amazement. "He's beautiful." "Fastest on Ridge 9, Jace said proudly. "And smart." Jace helped Ilara onto the saddle, then climbed up behind her to guide the reins. With a strong push, Silverwind dashed into the open desert. The wind hit them hard, but the creature moved smoothly. The desert plains passed below them, as if the world was rushing backward. Ilara held on to the front of the saddle, her heart racing. This is incredible. Jace smiled behind her. Wait until the canyon. That's where Silverwind really shines. Hours later, they reached the canyon edge. Huge stone walls rose from the ground, glowing softly under the sunlight. The air was cooler here, but the wind moved strangely, sometimes gentle, sometimes sharp as a blade. They dismounted and walked carefully down a narrow path. Ilara studied the map on her tablet. The herbs grow near the bottom. They emit a faint blue glow. Jace walked close beside her. Stay behind me. The canyon is calm today, but that can change fast. They climbed down slowly. The canyon walls hummed as the wind moved through them. Ilara felt the air shift, almost alive. But she focused on her task. People were sick, and she couldn't waste a second. At last, they reached the canyon floor. Strange blue plants grew between the rocks. Ilara kneeled and began collecting them carefully. We need as many as possible, she said. But the moment she picked the fifth plant, the ground vibrated softly. Jace reacted instantly. Get behind me. Lara stood quickly. What's happening? A deep rumble echoed. From a dark crack in the canyon wall, a large creature stepped out slowly. It wasn't aggressive yet, but it watched them with sharp eyes. It looked like a mix of stone and fur, shaped by the canyon winds. Its heavy steps shook the ground. Ilara whispered, "That's a canyon beast." "They don't like loud noises," Jace said, "and they don't like strangers touching plants." The beast growled. The sound rolled through the canyon like thunder. Jace stepped forward calmly. "Ilara, when I distract it, gather the rest of the herbs. Quickly, don't run. Just move steady, but no arguing." Before she could stop him, Jace tapped his belt and activated his tech lasso. The glowing loop formed in his hand. The beast roared and stomped closer. Jace swung the lasso, not to attack but to create bright circles of light in front of the creature. The flashing lines confused its eyes. The beast began following the movements. Distracted, Ilara forced herself to breathe and knelt again. Her hands moved fast, gathering the glowing plants and placing them safely in her bag. She could hear Jace's footsteps, the beast's roars, and the lasso humming in the air. But she didn't stop. The ground shook again. The beast turned its head toward her. Jace shouted, "Ilara, move." She pressed the last plant into her bag and stood. Jace quickly threw the lasso to one side. The beast followed the movement, giving Ilara a chance to run to him. "Got them," she said breathlessly. Jace grabbed her hand. "Good, now move." Together, they ran up the path as the canyon beast roared behind them. Stones fell from the walls as the creature stomped angrily, but Silverwind was waiting at the top. As soon as they reached the surface, Jace boosted Ilara onto the saddle, then climbed up fast. "Go, boy," Jace commanded. Silverwind took off like a bolt of light, racing across the canyon edge. The beast reached the top, but stopped at the boundary, unwilling to leave its territory. It roared loudly, but Jace and Ilara were already far away. Only when the canyon disappeared behind the horizon did Jace slow the horse. Both of them breathed heavily, hearts racing. Ilara looked at him with wide eyes. "You could have been hurt." "So could you," Jace said calmly. "That's why we watched out for each other." I felt something warm grow inside her. Chest, gratitude, respect, and something deeper she didn't. "Want a name yet?" They returned to the village before evening. Ilara immediately began preparing the medicine. Her hands moved fast, but steady. Jace helped her organize the villagers, giving them blankets, water, and guiding them to the treatment area. When the medicine was ready, she gave it to each patient carefully. The villagers trusted her completely. Jace watched with pride as she worked without resting, treating children, adults, animals, everyone in need. Hours later, the fever began to drop. People started breathing easier. The dust markings on their skin faded slowly. The villagers smiled weakly, whispering thanks to both Ilara and Jace. You saved them, Jay said softly. Ilara shook her head. We saved them. I couldn't have reached the canyon without you. The village leader approached them with tears in his eyes. You two saved our homes, our families. We will never forget this. Night fell gently as they prepared to leave. Ilara climbed into the truck, but before Jace started the engine, she turned to him. You are different from anyone I have ever met, she said honestly. You didn't even know me, but you helped me again and again. Jace looked at her with quiet warmth. Sometimes you meet someone who feels important, even if you don't know why yet. Ilara lowered her eyes, but her heart beat faster. When they reached the medical camp, the staff rushed out, thanking Ilara for arriving and asking about the cure. She explained everything. They were shocked she already saved an entire village before even reaching them. The chief doctor shook Jace's hand. Thank you for protecting her. Jace simply nodded. He didn't need praise. Ilara walked closer to him. Will I see you again? Jace gave a small smile. You're on Ridge 9 now. This planet doesn't let good people stay strangers for long. Ilara felt a soft warmth in her heart. I hope so. Before he left, Jace gently took her hand. If you ever need anything, the ranch door is always open. Ilara squeezed his hand back. And if you ever need a nurse, I'm not far. They smiled, both feeling the same quiet truth. The night at the train station was not a random moment. It was a beginning. As Jace drove back toward his ranch, he kept thinking about her brave eyes and steady hands. And at the medical camp, Ilara looked at the desert horizon, thinking about him too. Their paths had crossed by chance, but now